Hi everyone, it's Mrs. Sommer here to discuss what my classroom looks like for the spring of 2022. At the beginning of class, students will enter class and sit at their assigned tables. The first 5 to 10 minutes of class, students will watch a warm-up video regarding various topics in chemistry. These videos typically deal with the real-world applications of chemistry that they might not otherwise see in a beginning level chemistry class. Students will be required to come up with 2 questions regarding the video, and we will then discuss the students' questions. I will also be taking attendance during this time. My Google Classroom is fairly organized in its setup, in which I use emojis to represent the activity or what students are supposed to be doing. So if they will see over on the side, if there is a video camera, that means that they need to watch the video associated with that. It's also broken up into resources, various units, content learning, which is where they watch the videos, the practice or the learning assignments, and then the mastery checks. So those are different topics in Google Classroom to keep everything organized. Nearly all assignments and class materials will be found on the class website. The class website is linked in every Google Classroom assignment in which students need to navigate there in order to access the assignments. So physical materials, so blank copies and assignment submissions. Blank copies of paper and pencil activities are in a teal bucket underneath the gas shutoff valve next to the stockroom door. Paper assignments will be, you'll turn in any paper assignments, mastery checks into a red bin. That one's white, but red bin, on the front white board table at the front of the class. Just a note, students must mark any paper assignments or mastery check assignments as done in Google Classroom in order for me to know that they have turned it in and to assign the grade in it. If they have not marked it as done in Google Classroom, it will not transfer over into the grade book. The Infinite Canvas gradebook. So they need to mark an assignment as done, even if they're turning in a paper assignment. So one of my most important classroom policies is a scented item policy. I am a severe asthmatic. I'm extremely allergic to scented sprays, lotions, hand sanitizers, and anything that has a scent. Scented items cannot be applied in or around my classroom. There have been numerous times where I've had to go to the hospital due to fragrances applied in my class. I do have basic lotion that students can use if they need an immediate lotion or anything in order to avoid using anything with scents. So in my classroom, the front whiteboard, there's a red light button, and that's where students turn on and off when they leave my classroom and return to my classroom. The yellow light button is for students to turn on and put their names under if they need help. If they notice that I am working with another group and don't want to interrupt, they can put their name under, turn the yellow light on and put their name under it, and so that I can help them as when I am done with the current group that I'm working with. There's the 2 whiteboard tables for me to work with students more individually. And then the middle set of white tables are the mastery check tables. At these tables, students can only use a writing utensil, their periodic table, calculator, and the resource folder that is provided. So the periodic table is actually in the resource folder that is provided to each student. My cell phone policy is one of the more strict ones in school. Cell phones should be in a student's backpack. My policy is if I see it, I confiscate it. It doesn't matter if it's in use. So if it's out on the table, it doesn't matter. It needs to be put away in their backpack or their back pocket, and it's not taken out. The first offense is that a student's device is confiscated and the student can pick it up from my classroom, which is F200, at the end of the school day. We'll also send an email home notifying the student's grown up. The second offense is that student's device is confiscated. Student can pick it up from my classroom again at the end of the school day, and then I will call home in order to notify. The third offense is that student's device is confiscated. Student can pick it up at the end of the day from my classroom, but a behavior referral is written and a student grown-up teacher conference is necessary. So student parent teacher conference is necessary at that point. With regards to confiscated devices, once I confiscate a device, I immediately lock it in a drawer in my demo table. So I have the keys to that around with my classroom keys, and I lock it in there and the device is secure. If the device already has a crack of some kind, or the screen is broken, upon receiving it, I will take a picture with my iPad and note that as well, that I had received this item in this condition. AirPods should be in a student's backpack unless being used with the student's Chromebook to watch content learning videos. The Edpuzzle videos. AirPods should not be connected to cell phone in order to listen to music. If it becomes an issue, a parent conversation will occur. Classroom sign-out form. So all students must complete the classroom sign-in, sign-out form in order to leave the classroom during the class period. This form is located in the student's Google Classroom resource tab. Once a student has submitted the form, they must turn the red light on at the front of the board, and then write their name underneath the red light. By turning on the light and putting their name on there, it lets me and other students know that there's a student who's not in the classroom. That's for safety. I can immediately look and say, okay, Johnny's not here, but we just went into a lockdown situation. I need to notify campus security that this student is not here. Also, for other students, instead of them constantly asking me, can I go to the bathroom or who's out, they can look and immediately see that a student's out. They shouldn't fill out the Google form because only one student is allowed out of the classroom at a time. Once a student returns to the class, the student turns off the red light and completes the sign-in, sign-out form indicating their return. Now, this is important here, completing it when they return to class. That gives them a timestamp of how long that they were out of class for. It's a way to keep track of how long students are leaving, if they're leaving at the same time every day for the same amount of time, to have some of those conversations regarding that. But also, as you all know, back in the fall, we dealt with some TikTok trends occurring with vandalism. And so it also is designed to protect the student. If somebody says, oh, so-and-so did this, I have a document showing them, well, no, this student was only out during this time of the day or time of the class. All other times they were in my classroom. And I have those timestamps from the Google form stating that, that the student was out for this amount of time or the student was not out. So it's important to complete it when they leave and as soon as they return in order to have it more of an accurate documentation. Their name. So my class is set up as a modified self-paced mastery class. Self-paced learning is a method of learning that allows students to achieve mastery through a practice and revision cycle. So students can work within the unit at their pace in order to understand the material. It's not self-taught. I've designed all of the lessons, just like making this video. I've made all of my educational videos. It's otherwise known as a flipped classroom. It allows me to provide more help to students and student groups instead of spending my time lecturing during class. What does it look like? Each week, students will see the content learning, practice assignments, mastery checks, and revision opportunities in their Google Classroom. And students should progress linearly through each unit's lesson. So they should do 1.1 before they go on to 1.2. And they should follow this pathway. So in each lesson, content and instruction, it comes first. It's an Edpuzzle. Typically, sometimes there are reading assignments that are the content instruction, but the majority of them are Edpuzzle videos where students watch. The videos are typically 5 to 6 minutes in length. Then they have practice assignments. Those can be interactive worksheets, mini projects using online tools, virtual labs. I'm a big fan of CK12 and pixel art assignments, and it's used for students to develop mastery on a section. The mastery checks are an assessment tool designed for students to demonstrate mastery. All mastery checks are paper-based assessments that must be completed in class. And then revision. So mastery checks will typically cover like a couple lessons like 101 to 103, maybe a mastery check. They're not necessarily after each individual lesson, but they are in small chunks. The benefits of aiming for mastery learning using self-paced model is that students have time to focus on the material that challenges them. They don't have to wait for others to get through material that's easy for them, and it builds self-management and time management skills. And they also don't miss critical material if they miss a live lecture. That's really important with COVID and students being out for various reasons, that they won't miss any direct instruction because the instruction has been provided in those videos, which lends itself to avoiding gaps in knowledge. And for me as the teacher, it makes it so that I'm not tied to the front of the classroom during a lecture. I can identify and support each student where they are at, and build relationships with students by having time to talk with them and get to know their each individual learning style. So what are my responsibilities with self-paced learning? I need to create the content, select activities and resources that will help students meet each specific learning objectives, provide timely constructive feedback, be available to help students understand content by reteaching in small groups, and then support all students as they progress towards mastery. What are the students' responsibilities? They need to try their best. It's a hard class and it's challenging for many students. They need to take their time to really learn the material and don't just rush through it to get it done. Chemistry is something that builds upon itself. It is something that you need Unit 1 stuff to understand Unit 6. That's not a compartmentalized content area. So complete the unit sections in order. If you don't demonstrate mastery on an objective, go back and review your material and ask for revision time. Keep trying, and please do not plagiarize other people's work or by copying off of the internet. So how does grading work in a self-paced classroom? The Edpuzzle assignments, they go in the learning experience category, which is the 30% category in the Infinite Campus gradebook, and will be graded according to the following. If they get less than an 84, a 0 is entered in the gradebook, and students can redo the assignment in order to reach mastery. If they get above an 84, the closest whole number grade earned will be entered in the gradebook. So example, they earned an 87.53 on the Edpuzzle. The score in the gradebook would be an 88. The purpose of the Edpuzzle videos is to learn content. If a student does not reach mastery on the Edpuzzles, I will automatically reset the student's progress so they can redo the Edpuzzle. Typically, I should only have to reset the Edpuzzle once, as I explain the answers to the questions immediately after I ask them in the Edpuzzle. This is also a good time to remind students to actually listen to the videos and don't just watch it on mute. I've run into that several times over the last year or so of doing this, is that students are not listening to me talking in the videos. They are just reading the slides, which prevents them from truly learning more about the content. Learning assignments, certain practice assignments, are must-do assignments, and they are graded using the full RRHS grading rubric. These assignments are posted as assignments in Google Classroom. If a student does not like the score they earned on the learning assignment, they can go back and redo the assignment to improve their grade on it. These are not, they are not completion grades. They're accuracy counts. Other practice assignments are either should do or aspire to do assignments. Those assignments are strictly posted on the class website in order to not bog down the student's Google Classroom feed. Mastery checks go in the evidence category, which is the 70% category in the Infinite Campus Gradebook. They will be a 0.25 factor, meaning it'll be 20, like if we were grading on points, 100 points would be a 1 factor. And so this would be at 25 points versus 100 points, which would be typically a test. They are graded on a 4-point scale. The purpose of mastery checks is assessment. It's where students demonstrate their mastery, and a student can complete revisions and reassess as many times as they need to within the unit. So the 4 scores that go in the gradebook are did not achieve mastery, 0, 84, 90, which is achieved mastery, and 100 achieved mastery. So those are the only 4 scores that you would see in the mastery check gradebook, or in the gradebook for a mastery check. And so if a student attempts a mastery check and doesn't reach mastery, they will have a 0 in the gradebook until they go back and complete revisions and reassess and reattempt that mastery check. Summative assessments are typically unit tests, and they go in the evidence category in Infinite Campus, and they have a fixed date of completion. So the purpose of summative assessments is for students to demonstrate mastery over the entire unit, and it's graded on the full RRHS grading rubric. Students can reassess, complete revisions and their summative assessment in order to reassess with new questions. Students will not be allowed to reassess without first completing the revisions. Students must notify me via email that they would like to retake a summative assessment. Students will have 1 week from the day the summative assessment grade is returned in Google Classroom to retake this assessment. And then it required tasks for revisions vary between units. The tasks will be individually assigned via Google Classroom only after student emails me requesting retake. There are no revisions allowed on the semester final. So feedback and communication during self-paced learning. Email me is the best way to get a hold of me. Also my Google Voice number in order to text me. With regards to private comments on Google Classroom assignments, I don't see those right away. The best way to get a hold of me is either emailing me or texting me. So please don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions regarding how my class is set up and run. I look forward to working with you guys this semester.